everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Kelsey if you are new. If you are not new, I truly appreciate you coming back. So this video is a completely different video than anything I've ever done on this channel. If you watched my last vlog, I spoke about how I want to add some spice into this channel regarding true crime. I love true crime. I had something very traumatic happen to me when I was 18 that involved someone very close to me. That got me into true crime. I completely dove headfirst into just like everything true crime. I have been obsessed with it ever since. So where I watch most of my true crime is here on YouTube. I have a few people that I follow as far as true crime, and there are elements from each person that I really like, but I feel like I can take a little bit from each one as far as inspiration, not like actually take things. Inspiration from each one as far as what I like and what maybe I don't like, or just do my own spin on it. So I am very excited. I don't know how often I'm going to be uploading these. I really hope you guys enjoy them. I just kind of want to start sprinkling them in and seeing how they go. So today's case is not going to be a depiction of the stories to come, but it is a current case that I am so enthralled in, and I just want to talk about it a little bit because I'll explain later, but basically I'm just very involved in this case, and so I wanted to talk about it. It is currently happening. Normally I want to talk about solved murder cases and go into details about that, footage, everything like that, but I had to talk about this. So if you don't know about the 8 passengers drama, let me introduce you to Ruby Frankie.
So being a mom's a full-time job, but
popular Utah family vlogger Ruby Franke was arrested Wednesday. The 41-year-old mother of 6 is known for sharing clips of her children's daily lives on their now defunct YouTube channel, 8 Passengers.
I've had my phone for like a day.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
You've been sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October, and they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago.
I'm only gonna say it one more time, and then you're gonna lose the privilege to eat dinner.
This story is bonkers. So I heard about 8 Passengers through the Dad Challenge podcast, and he started covering them, I think like a year or two ago. I'll have his channel link down below. He is re-uploading all of the 8 Passengers videos if you want to start watching them. He is just giving us all the joy of snarking on 8 Passengers. So I will absolutely link him down below because he is where I get a lot of my information and just like knowledge from this whole situation. It does snark. I love it. I think it's great.
All right, let's watch it.
I'm scared to share this because knowing people these days, I don't know if people are gonna, how they're gonna respond. So Kevin and I, we have 6 children. The 2 youngest, long patterns of selfishness. They have been showing through their choices, their unwillingness to repent.
So she just said they're long whatever, being kids. They're being kids. Here's the thing that we know about Ruby is she puts on these enormous weights on her children's shoulders to be like adults and their children. To act like adults, to have the behavior like adults, to do this, she's like, it's like she's running a prison camp. Okay? And this is something we've noticed since day one. Like her 5-year-old doesn't make her lunch, so she wants her to starve. Because that is an outcome of her decision that she forgot to make her lunch and she wants her to be hungry. That is not a parent, everybody. That is a warden. She is a warden of a prison.
Their unwillingness to feel sorrow over some pretty egregious choices that they've made. So Kevin and I have decided that we are going to give the gift of truth to them this year for Christmas.
This language is absolutely disgusting too, by the way. We're going to give you guys the gift of truth.
But that is where I have been getting most of my information. And like I said, I have been following Josh since the very beginning of like the whole Micah Stauffer thing. And he started talking about 8 Passengers, so I knew who they were through him. And now this whole thing has blown up and it is wild. So buckle up. I'm not sure how long this is gonna be. I can be long-winded. I have my notes. I'm very excited because this is going to be like the maiden voyage of this new chapter on my channel. So get your coffee, get your drinks, and let's chat. Let me start with who Ruby Frankie is. She was a popular family vlogger. She had like 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube. She basically family vlogged her husband, and her 6 kids. I'm not very fluent in a lot of religious talk, but I know that that whole family was very Mormon and they lived that kind of lifestyle. So she would document their life, document things that they did, and they obviously grew a huge following. Now, things started to change when she got upset about the school her kids were going to. They played a part of, I want to say it was Apple Bottom Jeans, and she didn't want her kids to listen to that kind of music. She went into the principal's office and they basically laughed at her and said, we're going to play it. So she pulled her kids out of school and then she started homeschooling. Things started changing here. Here was kind of the turning point of kind of Ruby showing more who she was. She had always had a streak of strictness run through her. There are tons of videos of her saying that she took Christmas away from 2 of her children. The other 4 still had Christmas, but the 2 children did not, so they had to sit there and watch as their siblings opened up presents on Christmas morning. A 5-year-old forgot to pack her own lunch, and so the school calls Ruby and says, hey, can you bring your 5-year-old daughter some food? And she goes, no, this is a life lesson and I'm sorry you have to learn it the hard way. You won't forget your food again.
Got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said, Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her.
So she has always had this strictness running through her and questionable parenting skills, in my personal opinion. This is all my personal opinion. This is my channel. That's all I've got. Another crazy story is that her son, she caught him doing something that she says was morally wrong. Everybody's kind of speculating that it was normal teenage boy things. Whatever that may mean, normal teenage boy things. They think that Ruby caught him doing something. She sent him to like a wilderness, get straight, get scared camp for 8 months, I believe. And then when he came back, he didn't have a bed. He slept on a beanbag chair. He didn't have a bathroom door and he didn't have a bedroom door. These were all things that were put out on the internet. These were all things that were not hidden. So originally my question is, wow, if she is showing all of these things, what is she not showing? Because what you're showing is pretty bad. And if you think that's okay, what do you think is maybe borderline not okay? Because if your daughter is 5 and she forgets to pack herself a lunch, you can go ahead and be a mom and bring her a lunch.
I have to go find your shorts. Oh, did you see the socks you threw at the side of the garden? And you are not going anywhere unless you pick up your junk. You've got crap strewn all around. Now, so you see, now I'm using bad language. That's how bad of a mood I'm in. You get your socks picked up and don't you leave your stuff out anymore. Where? Right over there. Run and go pick them up. And then give me 10 push-ups. Put them in your pockets so you can take them down to the hamper and drop and give me 10. 1. Put your hands straight out. They're in. They're not supposed to be out. Shape your hands forward. There you go. 1,
2, down further, bring your butt down.
So that is a little background on who she is. Now, she has 6 kids. So the older 2 are Sherry and Chad. They are older adults, and Sherry, I think earlier this year, came out that she had no relationship with her mom. So she has been very vocal about this whole situation, about how she's been trying to get her brothers and sisters out of this situation. Ruby, when she started going down this crazy super Mormon homeschool path and just wilderness camps and all this stuff, her and her husband Kevin got a divorce, I think like 2 or 3 years ago. Now, during this whole phase, she meets supervillain Jody Hildebrandt. Jody Hildebrandt is a licensed psychologist, and she specializes in addiction. She helps you live in your truth and not live in disdain and all of these very Mormon trigger words. She starts introducing Ruby to this parenting group, or they create it together, called Connections. And they start a YouTube channel, Everything Moms of Truth. It is Jody and Ruby, and they are wild in. The advice that they are giving, it's saying, I know one thing was quoted as saying that don't hit your kids, because if you hit your kids, they're going to become immune to it. And what are you going to do? Beat the crap out of them, basically? Which, I'm sorry, what? So this all starts going down. This is crazy. And then shoot forward to August 30th, 2023. Ruby gets arrested. Not only does she get arrested, things are just coming out. So let me start from the very beginning of that day of what happened, because it's just crazy to know all this stuff. She puts it out on the internet, and then here, we're here. So it is the morning of August 30th, I believe this all goes down. A neighbor gets a knock on a door, and it is this 12-year-old boy. He is emaciated. He has open wounds on his wrists and his ankles, along with, I think it's remnants of duct tape as well. These wounds are so severe that you can hear in the 911 call that I am about to play for you how torn up this neighbor is.
911, the address of your emergency. Tell me exactly what's happened.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. We know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry, and he's thirsty. And he asked us to call the police. So he's very afraid. This kid has obviously been, I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds. We need the cops here as soon as possible.
That is just absolutely heartbreaking to hear that neighbor describe it like that. For this little boy, I need to show you Jody's house. So this is a picture of Jody's house right here. As you can see, it is in the middle of a desert. This is Utah. It is hot. It is the middle of summer in a desert, so it is hot. Basically, this 12-year-old boy, so this is the house right here, and this boy ran either to this person's house over here or these people's houses over here. For this boy to run through all of the brush, the nastiness out there with no shoes on already is crazy. So this little boy shows up at the neighbor's house, and he just wants food and water. He wants this neighbor to call the police, but he is terrified. This speaks volumes right now. Clearly this little boy has escaped. We don't know if Jody is gone at this point. We don't know where Ruby is. We don't know anything. All we know is this little 12-year-old boy has gotten away. They continue over to the house that the boy came from, and they find another sibling there in the exact same condition, and they are both taken to a hospital in St. George. These minors' injuries are so severe that Jody and Ruby are getting charged with 6 felonies. So the charges that both Jody and Ruby are getting charged with are 1, combo of multiple physical injury or torture, 2, starvation or malnutrition that jeopardizes life, and 3, causing severe emotional harm. The definition for malnutrition has to be so severe where this little boy and this other sibling were fighting for their life at this point. This is not something that happens overnight. This is something that has happened over weeks, even months. Once this all came out, there have been more stories just pouring out from the neighbors, from friends, from family. It has been a crazy story. Something that I find shocking that came out the day of was the fact that Ruby's sisters, she has, I think, 3 or 4 sisters, came out and said that they have known about this for 3 years and have been trying to get the police to interfere for 3 years. I cannot believe that they actually said this and put this out on the internet and then decided to delete it, because it was smart to delete because you never should have put it out in the first place. But for them to say that and know what is happening, you just admitted that you know what's happening to your nieces and nephews and you didn't do enough. Maybe you did a lot behind the scene. We do not know. I have to say that we do not know. But at the same time, how do you not go just break this door down and get your nieces and nephews safe? It has also come out that multiple times the police have been to this house. Whether it was Ruby's house, because the house that this little boy ran for his life from was Jody's house, not even Ruby's. Ruby has moved in with Jody, and her kids are there. Over the last 4.5 years, police have been called a dozen times regarding these children's well-being, just regarding the children's well-being. Nothing has been done. The system failed. This is just crazy. This is so sad. I feel like the neighbors have been so vocal about how worried they were. I feel like as a neighbor, you can only do so much. They did everything they could. They were calling the cops. They were concerned. There were neighbors that said that there were children out pulling weeds, doing yard work for Jody for hours. And this person had given up doing their yard because it was too hot, but the kids were still going. There are reports that these children were left for days at a time while Ruby would just go away. It does get a little bit confusing when it starts talking about reports and everything. I am not quite sure on where these reports were taken, if it was from Ruby's house or if it was from Jody's house. I believe they live about like 4 hours apart from each other. There was one report in April of 2022. I believe this one came from Frankie's house, her house, of children being reported in the road. The police came, basically said they saw nothing, and that's it. There was another report from September 18th of 2022 where a neighbor had contacted Sherry, the eldest daughter, and said that her siblings had been left home alone for multiple days while her mom was just gone. So Sherry called the police and had them go to the house to check on her siblings. The police knocked. They could see the children inside on the phone with what I'm assuming is either Kevin or Ruby. And the children walked away and went upstairs. So clearly they did not want to open that door. Whether they were getting coached on the phone specifically or whether they had been coached their entire life, they did not want to open the door for police officers. I think that speaks volume as well. It is stated that when the cops showed up to do this report, neighbors kind of inundated them with a lot of information, basically saying that this is not uncommon. Ruby would leave for days on end to go visit her friend Jody in St. George, which is ultimately where she ended up and where this little boy ran from. So there have been a prolonged amount of years of involvement between Ruby and Jody, and within the last few years, it's gone tenfold. Ruby has moved in. They've started this whole Moms of Truth connections thing, and it's just become this world of its own.
In this home, you don't get personal space because this is my space because I'm the parent. If you want your own personal space, you'll need to get your own space. This is mine. And as long as you're living in my home, it is my job to know everything about you. You don't get to sneak, you don't get to hide, you don't get to have secrets. Not in my house. Do you see how loving that is? Now, if you're in distortion, you're reeling right now. If you're in distortion, you're ready to pull your hair out right now. You're ready.
So far, Jody and Ruby have been in jail. They are going to be arraigned tomorrow. We are going to find out exactly what their charges are going to be. Like I said, they are facing 6 felony charges, which I believe could cost them like 15 years in prison, which I hope it does, because I cannot imagine duct taping a 12-year-old boy, a 10-year-old girl, and leaving them in the house and using food and water as punishment. There were reports where neighbors said that the kids would come over to their house and they would talk about how if they were in trouble, they weren't allowed to have food or water. This was a normal punishment. So it explains why that child was so emaciated. The malnutrition, the mental abuse, the insane beliefs that these children are going to have to unlearn and believe in themselves again. This reminds me so much of the Turpin family, and it is terrifying what else is going to come out, because this is just the beginning. I mean, this all happened within the past week. I want to read something that I read from, I believe it was CBS. I want to read something that was written in the Daily Mail article. This is a direct quote, and this did something to my brain chemistry. Miss Hildebrandt requested a lawyer and did not speak with us. Once given her charges, Miss Hildebrandt informed me the children should never be allowed around any other kids, the police wrote. Jody truly believes that these children are beyond repair, that these children are evil. And I cannot imagine being raised in an environment like that. All of the mind games that have been played on these children, all of these intense beliefs that have been pushed on these children, and it is just so incredibly sad. So this case is wild. It's not death, thankfully, honestly. It could have been, easily, and this little boy is the hero in this story completely. He had the bravery to run away when Jody was out of the house. There are reports that when the police were going through the house looking for the other children, when they were finding all of this other stuff, Jody was driving up to the house. And that's how they arrested her, was she was driving up to the house. And so clearly these children were left home alone again, and this little boy ran. And he apparently made it just in the nick of time because she was coming back. So the circumstances of this boy getting out, the circumstances of everything surrounding, have happened in the best possible way that they can. It is, I hope, the best for the children. I believe that they are still in DCFS custody right now because I believe Kevin is still under investigation. They're not sure how much he actually knew, which I feel like you have to know something. There's no way he didn't know anything. He was on board for all of these harsh truths and realities that they were going down as well. There is footage of him basically condoning what Jody and Ruby are doing. So as far as Kevin, I don't really have an opinion yet. We'll have to wait for more to come out. I am just very invested in this. I hope I made it easy enough to follow. I'm getting used to kind of telling the story and how I want to tell it, but there's not much of a period on this case yet because, like I said, we're going to get more information tomorrow. Again, it is just so sad. This little boy saved probably his life and his sister's life minimally, if not other children. This is insane. So I hope you guys will come back. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was easy to follow. If you do have any questions, if you have any comments, leave them down in the comments below. I would love to start an open conversation. Again, please remember, these are people's real lives. These are people's children. Let's just be gentle with what we have to say in the comments. I'm really looking forward to this new chapter on this channel. I hope you guys will stick around. I hope you will subscribe and hopefully see where this goes. Hopefully it's a whole new chapter and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm looking forward to this. I hope you guys are having a great day. Please keep these children in your mind and your thoughts, and I will see you in my next video.